Namaste and greetings and happy Valentine's Day, Unity of Fredericksburg. And let us also acknowledge Happy Black History Month, recognizing that Black History Month is every month because Black history is American history. So we start off today, because we're talking sort of about Valentine's Day, but you know me, we're going to talk about something else other than that as well. I want us to talk about how that which is the infinite invisible, that which is God, that which is source, spirit, this thing that we call one mind, life itself, how it is showing up as us. Like the infinite invisible is visible as you, it's visible as me, it's visible as we. God is us. Love is us. You know, we talk about Valentine's Day and we give cards and we give chocolate, we give candy and we give flowers and we give gifts and we give hugs and we give kisses and we give. And we receive the bounty of dinner invitations and wine and candlelight stuff and love. And yes, for dost thou not love? Yeah, Valentine's Day. Like we do that. But we make it all about Valentine's Day rather than it's about how we are, how we show up. Now, I have a problem with celebrating Valentine's Day. But like Black History Month, why not celebrate the love that Valentine's Day represents every day? Yeah, you can, have your birthday when your birthday is and have a special celebration. But every day that you wake up and live, move, and have your beingness, you are reborn. Each day is a new opportunity. Technically, with each breath, it is a new opportunity because, as I always say, you can't breathe tomorrow's breath. You can't re-breathe yesterday's breath. You can't save a breath for a rainy day. You can only breathe this breath right now. Present. I am present right now. This moment is a present. It is a gift that I am in the presence. I am present to that which God is. So Valentine's Day can be every day because it is a celebration of what love is. It is a recognition of what love made flesh, love as a visible power and presence, what it does and what it looks like. I mean, because you can't show me love. You can't cut open and pull out your heart chakra and say that's love. You can only show me what love in action looks like. Love in action is holding the door for someone, nurturing your children, grandchildren, caring for your pets. Love in action is pouring into someone else's life so that they may be supported and nurtured and cared for. Love in action. Love made visible. That's what Valentine's Day is about. Manifesting a visible representation of your love, showing your love. Because you can talk about love all you want. You can tell, because we know there are times when you can tell somebody, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you so much. I love you more than there are stars in the sky. I love you. And then that person hits the other person. I wouldn't hit you if I didn't love you. I wouldn't be jealous if I didn't love you. My jealousy is the very demonstration of my love for you. Actually, it's not. Your anger in the way that you're expressing it and beating your children or your spouse or your friends, traumatizing another under the guise of love, that's actually fear. It's actually scarcity of. You are no longer connected or plugged into what love is. Love is always present because God is always present. We understand and we acknowledge that. But in the same way that I can say electricity is always present, right? It's always present. However, I can turn my connection to it off. Electricity is not off, but my connection to it has been affected. I've, in essence, placed myself in the darkness. There are times when we turn the dimmer switch of or turn down and we turn off our awareness and sit in the dark. We sit in anger. We sit in judgment, we sit in criticism, we sit in trauma and abuse, and we abuse others as a result of it. So, in this recognition of what Valentine's Day means or can mean, we're encouraged to move simply from thinking about the divine to feeling the divine, to experiencing God in, through, and as us. Experiencing love in, through, and as us, and then acting accordingly. See, we compartmentalize and we act like this mystical experience is something that can only be had at a mountaintop in an ashram with a guru, like with the chakra alignments. If God is all there is and it's ever present everywhere, all the time, in full, the mystical itself is infinite, eternal, and ever present, then every moment, same with the electricity, every moment I can tune in, turn on to that mystical experience. So that means a mystical experience can happen while I'm washing dishes, scrambling eggs, walking the dog, cutting the grass, trimming the tree, putting up a bird feeder. Like the mystical experience can happen while waiting for the bus, washing your car, brushing your teeth, because any moment and every moment we are able to tune in and plug into the awareness that God is present. But dun, 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 oftentimes, just like Valentine's Day, oftentimes we do not give because we're afraid that it may be perceived that I didn't give enough. I didn't show my love enough. I didn't demonstrate it enough. And I'm being judged for it. I bought flowers, but they don't appreciate it. I bought jewelry, but they don't like it. And so oftentimes we refrain from giving. Happens at Christmas too, birthdays too. And oftentimes we don't want to receive because if it's given to me, then it's, oh, I have to give back. You gave me a $50 gift, I have to give you a 50, 55 would be better, or 60 would be even better, dollar gift. Like I can't just give, you gave me a $50 gift and I gave you a $10 gift, and they are both seen in the same as you gave from your heart. That's all that matters. The dollar amount doesn't, but we have been conditioned to compartmentalize love, to compartmentalize God, to compartmentalize self-care, to compartmentalize. And so in order to stay safe and comfortable, it's easier for us to talk about God. It's easier for us to talk about love and unity and oneness and all that other justice and equity. And it's easy to talk about it because we're not invested. But if we're going to actually live this spiritual life, not just practice it, practicing it is at one level, but then it's how do I live spiritually? How do I live my practice? You practice meditation, but then when do you live as a meditation? When are you being meditation? You are being that even when shopping in a grocery store, because that which you are is eternally connected and tuned in more often than not. So even in the process of pushing a shopping cart and putting, whatever in the cart, someone in your presence feels something. I mean, have you ever watched someone doing a random act of kindness? Somebody walks someone across the street, holds a door open, plays with a dog or whatever it is, and you feel different by being near them and observing this. You feel, you are physically, emotionally, intellectually, you are affected by this presence, by this demonstration of kindness, humanity, love, joy. Is that not why when we hear a baby laugh, it's contagious and we laugh? Because the baby is laughing from a place of just sheer non-judgmental, non-critical, just free and audacious joy. And we hear, that sounded like Wicked Witch though, but we hear them laugh and we can't help but to laugh as well. When we are being that, then we don't have to specifically sit in a proper meditation position with our back at a certain position and our hands at a certain position, speaking certain words because certain incense is lit and certain candles are lit, that you are meditation, you are love made flesh, you are the living embodiment of light. So it doesn't matter. As I always say, it's one thing to talk about water, it's a completely different thing to drink it, or completely different thing to have it and offer it to someone else to drink. When we are being the presence, we are being love, we are being joy, joy full to the degree that it is now overflowing, then we change the world. Joel Goldsmith said, put into practice what you already know. We already know enough. In all honesty, if we never read another book, went to another meditation class, workshop, we can do it because we enjoy it, just like people who like to dance will take another dance class because they enjoy the togetherness, the being around other people, other like-minded people. So it's not that there's anything wrong with it, but if we are doing this thing in order to become more of God, more spiritual, more enlightened, more illuminated, then we're missing the point. We practice to keep the pump primed, not because we are trying to become something else. The martial artist who already has their black belt continues to practice simply to keep the pump primed, to keep the organism, the mechanics oiled and moving easily. So Joel Goldsmith says, put into practice what you already know. So don't theorize, practice it, do it, be it. Then we recognize that whatever is this mystical experience, we are it when we are dancing or singing or doing laundry. That we are the mystic in the midst of a mystical experience in that moment, because they are one and the same. So we understand that mystical living mystically, living the life of a mystic is not about intellectually thinking. It's just like we say before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, do the laundry, wash the dog. After enlightenment, wash the dog, chop wood, carry water, do laundry. It's the same. What's changed then? The activity hasn't changed. The consciousness of the individual who is doing the activity has changed. You now recognize and know and understand who and what you are. And that then applies to every area of our lives. It radiates out from us like we are a broadcasting station. Love radiates out, it ripples through the very atmosphere itself. That's what this is about. Being God made flesh, the visible demonstration of the visible in the flesh activity of the invisible. We are love in action. We are equity in action. We are the audacious spiritual magnificence and beauty, self-love and self-care in action, to such a degree that our presence inspires, encourages, and uplifts others. So Audre Lorde, for those who may not know who she is, I recommend, in honor of Black History Month, that you look her up. But Audre Lorde said, our feelings are our most genuine paths to knowledge. Well, why would that be? Because at any given moment, what we are feeling is indicating where we are in consciousness. If I feel afraid, then it means somewhere in my consciousness, in my thought forms, I am thinking, believing, or investing in something that is stirring this up. Now, what do we tend to do? We tend to bypass this, malpractice it, deny it, shun it, rather than it's there. Let me recognize that this is a genuine path to knowing that which I desire to know. And in that knowing, I am being. So my fear is indicating something to me. Let me befriend it. Let me bring it in the same way that if my granddaughter or grandson were to come to me and they are afraid, I don't say, boom, there's no boogeyman, go back to bed and leave me alone. I bring them in and I comfort them in the midst of this fear. So when we are having courageous conversations around race, around conspiracy theories, around inequity, around sexism and homophobia, when we are engaging in these kinds of conversations, the emotions that come up, fear, worry, doubt, this uneasiness, angst, pull it in, embrace it, and bring it closer, because Audre Lorde also said that without community, there is no liberation. Without community, without the oneness of each individual coming together. Dr. David Alexander says that the fifth kingdom, it's not just God in me, as me, is me kind of concept, but God is we, the collective. So it's not about my rugged individualism of, as long as I meditate, then the world is good. As long as I do Reiki, the world is good. As long as I'm blowing bubbles, the world is good. As long as I'm, petting my dog, the world is good. As long as I'm not thinking about racism, then racism doesn't exist. As long as I'm not thinking about homophobia, homophobia doesn't exist. If we're going to live this thing, and we are going to step out of the New Thought closet where we are no longer the best kept secret, but we are a beacon of guiding light to the world, then it means we have to understand that we as a community are responsible for the liberation of every community member. None of us are free until all of us are free. None of us experience equity until all of us experience equity. None of us are truly fed until all of us are truly fed. So bring it in, embrace it, have the conversations, live it, walk the walk, talk the talk, have the conversations, engage in communication within the community. Commune with one another and let our oneness and our conversation, our communication be our communion. Let that be the thing that transforms and transcends and transmogrifies our beingness so that we show up differently. Audre Lorde, once again, Audre Lorde, look her up, said that we have been raised to fear the yes. Breathe. We have been raised to fear the yes within ourselves. We have been raised, as Don Miguel Ruiz would say, we have been domesticated to fear the yes within ourselves, that which is our deepest desire and craving. We have been conditioned to say no to ourselves. We have been conditioned to not love ourselves, to not nurture ourselves, to not take care of ourselves, to not support ourselves. We have been trained and conditioned to make ourselves less than, to dim our light, to make our desires and cravings to be at one, to be equity, justice, love, power, passion, bliss, vitality. That is what we are here to be. We are here to be the full expression and expansiveness of the universe as each individual and as the collective. And when we buy into the no that we've been conditioned because we fear the yes, I don't want to whom much is given, much is required. Or as Uncle Ben told Peter Parker, Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't want that. So I'm going to say no. I've been conditioned to fear the yes of my divinity. I've been conditioned to fear the yes that says, not only is Jesus not the Christ, but I am as him. I am a Christ. Each of us is a Christ. There is not a single the and only. Each of us, because God is each of us. So clearly that which is Christ consciousness must also be accessible and readily available to each of us in this moment. But if we're saying no because we're afraid of the yes, then we're turning the light off. We're turning our attention elsewhere, rather than standing in that space, feeling the feelings, feeling the love, and taking action accordingly to bring the invisible into visible form. And we breathe because, don't know if you know this person or not, James Baldwin, poet, author, spokesperson, activist, another person for Black History Month if you're not familiar with. James Baldwin said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." And we know this in this teaching, but we still oftentimes will spiritually bypass, spiritually malpractice, and deny many things rather than face them. We don't want to hurt people's feelings. We don't want to feel awkward or uncomfortable. We don't want to offend. So rather than, we choose not to face, we choose not to address, and we sidestep. Would we accept that from a dentist who said, well, I'm not going to tell them they have a cavity. I'm going to just, because it's better they don't know. Ignorance is bliss after all. Would we continue to go to that dentist? We probably know folks who would, because they would prefer not to know. But ultimately, what we are acknowledging, what we recognize is it's more healthy to know that there are termites eating the foundation of our house. Can you change the fact that the termites are doing that or the damage that's already been done? You can't undo the damage, but you can recognize that they are there, eliminate them, and then repair the damage. But you have to face that it's there. James Baldwin also said, I imagine that one of the reasons that people cling to their hate, and we could insert any number of things in there, that people cling to their fear, people cling to that no. And be clear, there is a sacred and holy no as well, right? So there are times when we say yes to everything. Yes, I'll help you. Yes, I'll serve on this committee. Yes, I'll serve on this board. Yes, I'll make those cookies. And we burn ourselves down because we don't know how to say no. Let us be clear that there is the no that is saying no to the divinity in us. And there is the no that says, in order for me to care for myself and my well-being in this moment, I have to say, no, I am not able to serve on this committee right now, or no, I cannot serve on that board right now. Let's be clear. So he says, I imagine that one of the reasons people cling to their fear, their hate, their resentment, their judgment, doesn't matter what word you put in there. He said hate could be any of these words. The reason that people cling to it so stubbornly is because they sense that once the hate is gone, once the fear is gone, once the judgment is gone, they will be forced to deal with whatever the underlying pain is. Once this thing is gone, I have to deal with this. It's easier for me to say, it's your fault, because once it's no longer your fault, then I have to deal with my own trauma and pain and fear, etc. So it's easier to point it. It's easier to burn this up. It let the fires of hate and sexism and racism, it's easier to burn that fire than to squelch it and then deal with the underlying issue. It's easier. The road most traveled is clearly the easiest road. Judging, criticizing, hating, traumatizing, that's easy. Anybody and everybody can do that on any given day. Just turn on the news. We see it. But it's more empowering and more spiritually authentic, more loving and more humane to stand in the space and stand in the truth and live from that space. Howard Thurman says, There is something in every one of you that waits and listens for the sound of the genuine in yourself. It is the only true guide you will ever truly have. This inner, intuitive, spiritual nudging. Oftentimes people refer to it as that still small voice, the voice of God, the voice celestial, the voice of the universe is not small. It's only when we put on the headphones of, I am so miserable, I don't like myself, I don't love myself, and I don't love you either. Once we take that song off, take the headphones off and get rid of it, the voice of God, the voice of our intuition, the voice of spirit is loud and clear. There's no static. There's no, it's very crisp and it's very clear. And that true and genuine voice, the truest part of ourselves, I hear myself, capital S self. I hear the Christ that I am, the power and the presence of that consciousness, the Buddha nature. I hear it loud and clear. And from that space, I am then able to. But why does it wait? It waits because we are busy doing this other stuff. When we anchor, when we do the practice, until such time as the practice now becomes second nature, it becomes a way of life. Liberace got to a point where didn't have to practice the scales anymore. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Didn't have to. It became a way of life where he could just sit down and play. He could just sit down and magic would happen. Because you practice until it's second nature, and then it's a way of life, and then you continue until it is a way of being. That your very presence is it, made visible. Because why meditate if not to step into the space of being what you are? To recognize that there is only one power and one presence. And what it is God. So there is no I separate from. So then what is mine to do? How do I anchor and ground in this realization that what it is I am? In this moment, right here, right now. That the fullness of spirit is present. The fullness of the universe in this human form is present, not just in me, but in we, in all of us. And that just as I am called to a greater level of being in the world, a greater level of living my truth, a greater level of stepping into and walking the walk, so too are we. You know, if you look at the word me and you flip the M upside down, the me becomes we. It is time for us to recognize that the Good Samaritan, the one who tends to and takes care of, there's an African proverb that says it takes a village to raise a child. We are all someone's child. And so it takes a village, it takes a community. It takes a community to care for the community. Anyone in the community that is in need, then the community steps forth. The Good Samaritan that is me and the Good Samaritan that is we steps forth and says, no, I am not my brother's keeper. I am not my sister's keeper. I am not the keeper of my gender fluid and gender rich sibling. I am them, because there is only one of us. There is only God. Only this one power and one presence showing up in, through, and as all that is. But if I'm not living that Buddha nature, if I'm not living from that Christ consciousness, if I am not living, moving, and having my beingness as a mystical entity, the invisible made visible, then I am playing, I am pretending, I am acting new thought. I am acting science of mind. I am acting unity, practical Christianity. It's all an act versus being an action. an activity of God in the world. That's what we're calling self and the collective into. And we breathe, recognizing as we go into meditation that, as I said before, cannot breathe tomorrow's breath, cannot breathe yesterday's breath for a second or third time, cannot save a breath for a rainy day. You can only breathe this moment right here and right now. So this breath reminds us to be present in the very presence of spirit itself, to surrender and allow to our body's intelligence to breathe, and ultimately to the wisdom of God, the activity of God to breathe itself as us. And it is in this space of surrendering and allowing and being present that we feel the very vibration of creation itself vibrating every cell of our bodies. That every cell, every muscle fiber, every tendon, every bone, every particle and wave of quantum energy, every atom, every proton, electron, and neutron are all vibrating with the energy of wholeness and perfection and completeness to such a degree that our bodies are a demonstration of health and well-being, that our mind, our intellect is a demonstration of health and well-being, that our emotions and our feelings are a demonstration of health and well-being, that in all of this, it is the invisible made visible. That this breath right here, right now, is a demonstration of our willingness, our allowing, our receiving, our saying yes to our divinity. A yes to being Christ consciousness in the flesh, to being love made human form, that every thought we think is love, every word we speak is love, every action we engage in is love. That there is nowhere that we go, there is no person we speak to where we are not engaging them as community, as divine interaction with ourselves. Namaste. That which is the divine in me, through me, as me, sees and recognizes itself in the we. And in seeing and recognizing itself in, through, and as the we, I ground and anchor knowing that we are one. No matter who, we are one. No matter why, we are one. And it is from this place of infinite oneness and love and joy that I am able and willing to conspire with the very universe itself to demonstrate and manifest accordingly, that where there is a perceived enemy, there is an African proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, there is no enemy on the outside. That the enemy outside can do you no harm, for it does not exist. And so I stand in resonance knowing that there is no enemy. There are those who do not know and do not recognize and cannot grasp the depth of their spiritual magnificence. So in this breath, I know it for them to such a degree that I know that the very wind itself, as it blows a breeze across their cheek, it is God telling them what they are. That as the sun shines on them, or as a snowflake lands upon the tip of their nose, it is the universe itself enveloping them and reminding them what they are. To such a degree that every man, woman, person of every gender expression, every child, every animal, every tree, every blade of grass, every grain of sand, every drop in every ocean, every leaf on every tree, and every feather on every bird, that all of creation itself resonates and recognizes the infinite oneness of love, of spirit, of goodness, of God. So we breathe. We breathe, knowing that even as this meditation ends, as these words come to an end, this state of, this consciousness of meditation continues. It continues as we fellowship after service. It continues as we drive home. It continues as we eat lunch or eat dinner. This meditative state, this mystical experience, because God does not end, neither does this, which means at any moment I can turn it on. At any moment, I can plug in. At any moment, I can turn my gaze to the hills, meaning I lift my awareness and attention to that which is higher consciousness, Christ consciousness, Buddha nature, at any moment, because that which it is, I am. Anchoring in this and knowing this and recognizing this deeply, together we affirm this, we breathe, we allow, we say yes. And so it is. Namaste and much love to you. Take care. Happy Valentine's Day and happy Black History Month.